The world once moved to the rhythm of a single empire. From the misty shores of Europe to the jungles of the Americas, from the coasts of Africa to the islands of the Pacific, one flag, a crimson cross on a golden field, cast its shadow across the earth. This was Spain. Forged in centuries of struggle, baptized in faith, and driven by unshakable ambition, it rose to become the first true global superpower in human history. Its ships crossed oceans few dared to imagine. Its kings ruled lands their eyes would never see, and its faith, carried on the wind, reshaped civilizations forever. It began not with an army, but with a voyage. In 1492, under the banner of Castile and Aragon, 3 small ships set sail into an unknown sea. Christopher Columbus, a man consumed by dreams of discovery, sought a western route to Asia, and instead found a world untouched by Europe's empires. When his sails touched the shores of the Caribbean, the age of isolation ended. From that moment, the destinies of 2 worlds became forever intertwined. To the Spanish crown, the discovery was divine providence. It was the reward for centuries of crusade and conquest, a sign that heaven itself favored their cause. Gold, souls, and glory awaited beyond the horizon. Within decades, conquistadors followed the path Columbus opened. Hernán Cortés landed on the coast of Mexico in 1519, facing an empire whose wealth and grandeur rivaled anything in Europe. He marched on the city of Tenochtitlan, a metropolis of canals, temples, and stone towers rising from the lake. By the time the dust settled, the Aztec Empire had vanished. Its temples lay in ruins. Its treasures were melted into bars of silver and gold for Spain's galleons. In the rugged mountains of the Andes, Francisco Pizarro followed. He faced the vast Inca Empire, a civilization of stone roads and sun temples that spanned a continent. Through cunning, steel, and disease, the Spanish conquered yet another world. From the ashes of the Inca, a new dominion emerged, viceroyalties stretching from Mexico to Chile. Spain now ruled the heart of the Americas, its power built upon silver drawn from the earth. The mountain of Potosí glittered like a beacon in the high Andes, its veins feeding the treasuries of Europe. Every year, fleets carried that silver across the Atlantic, transforming Spain into the wealthiest nation on earth. The empire expanded beyond imagination. Galleons sailed west across the Pacific to the Philippines, where Spanish rule bound Asia to the New World. The Manila galleon became a symbol of a connected world, carrying silk, spices, and porcelain from the East, and silver from the Americas. It was the first global trade network in history. In the halls of Madrid, kings presided over territories so vast that the sun was said never to set upon them. From Seville to Lima, from Havana to Manila, the empire pulsed with the rhythm of trade, faith, and authority. Missionaries carried the cross into distant jungles and islands, building cathedrals where forests once stood. Languages blended, faiths collided, and cultures intertwined in a world remade by conquest. But every empire that rises meets its test. Spain's dominance on the seas invited envy and defiance. England, France, and the Dutch Republic challenged its might. The wealth that flowed into Spain became both a gift and a curse, fueling wars that drained the empire's lifeblood. In 1588, Spain assembled the greatest fleet the world had ever seen, the Invincible Armada. It sailed north to bring England to its knees, but storms and cannon fire scattered it across the waves. The illusion of divine invincibility broke. Though Spain's empire endured, its power began to waver. At home, the empire's treasures turned to burden. Silver poured into Europe, but so did inflation, corruption, and dependence. Wars in Flanders, Italy, and the Mediterranean consumed the wealth of the Indies. The same ships that once carried gold returned with debts and desperation. Foreign merchants, not Spanish craftsmen, profited from the empire's riches. The glory that had once seemed eternal now flickered in the wind. Yet Spain's vision remained monumental. It built cities that still stand: Havana, Cartagena, Mexico City, Lima, and Manila. Grand plazas, stone fortresses, and cathedrals rose from conquered soil. In these cities, European and native worlds merged, creating new identities and new cultures that would outlive the empire itself. Spanish explorers mapped coastlines from Patagonia to California, and its missionaries carried knowledge and faith across oceans. The empire was more than conquest. It was transformation. It reshaped the world's languages, economies, and beliefs, binding continents into a single, complex web of human history. But empires are mortal. By the 18th century, cracks widened. Colonies demanded autonomy. Enemies struck at Spain's holdings in the Caribbean and the Pacific. The Bourbon reforms tried to save a fading system, but change was relentless. Revolutions in the Americas inspired rebellion. From Buenos Aires to Mexico, cries for independence echoed across the mountains and seas. Spain, weakened and weary, could no longer hold its distant realms together. The 19th century brought the final reckoning. Colonies became nations, new voices born from centuries of rule. By 1898, the last embers of the empire faded in the smoke of war. Cuba, Puerto Rico, the Philippines, lost to history's tide. The once mighty empire of galleons and gold had vanished. What remained was not dominion, but memory, a shadow cast across centuries, still visible in the languages, names, and faiths that bind millions around the world. And yet, the story of the Spanish Empire is not merely one of conquest and collapse. It is a story of connection, of how distant peoples, once unknown to each other, became part of a single human narrative. It is the story of courage and cruelty, of discovery and devastation, of dreams carried by sails and sustained by faith. Through its triumphs and tragedies, the Spanish Empire shaped the world we now inherit. It gave rise to nations. It built the framework for global trade and cultural exchange. It brought languages that today are spoken by hundreds of millions. And though its banners have long fallen, its legacy endures. In every cathedral dome, every word of Spanish spoken, every coastline once mapped by its explorers. The Spanish Empire, forged in conquest, bound by faith, and remembered forever as the empire where the sun never set.